Hello and welcome. India was supposed to have an optional practice at 9:30 a.m. UK time. So all of us landed up thinking that okay, it's been a hectic week, Manchester. At least we will see, the people who will now perhaps play this test match like a Dhruv Jurel. We will see someone like a Sai Sudarshan to hone his skills. We will see a Kuldeep Yadav. We will see them coming in and taking center stage. Little did we think that center stage would be taken by Lee Fortis, the groundsman, the man right there, where I'm pointing fingers. That's the man. He's my man for today. Okay? So he's my man for today. The showstopper in that sense, not in the right sense. So Lee Fortis versus Gautam Gambhir became our headline. At about 9:30ish, Brendan McCullum and Rob Key, Brendan McCullum, head coach, and Rob Key decides to come in, go and inspect the wicket. No problems. They go and check the wicket, and there is a photograph doing the rounds of Brendan McCullum, 2023 Ashes, match day -1, inspecting the wicket along with the same man, Lee Fortis. He's actually standing on that pitch. I'm parking all of these factors for you so you know that there is a context. Fair enough. After that, the Indian coaching staff decides to go to the wicket, and as they go, Gautam Gambhir, Sitanshu Kotak, and the rest of the Indian coaching staff, all of a sudden, Fortis decides to assert himself and tell them, and here I'm not saying Sitanshu Kotak says, you cannot come within 2.5 meters. The moment he says you cannot come within 2.5 meters, all hell breaks loose. Now, how do you? 2.5 meters is 8.5 feet, 8 feet plus. Now, if you don't come close to, he's actually asking them to go beyond the rope. How do you even understand the wicket? Now, let me kind of digress a little bit. In Manchester, when it was raining heavily, the day before the test match, when the rain finally stopped and they cleared the covers, within a minute, Gautam Gambhir, Sai Sudarshan, Shubman Gill, Sitanshu Kotak, everybody was on that wicket. And they actually hunched down, trying to understand, feel the pitch, and make their notes, make the point as to how it would behave. Here, they were not even doing that. So they were within that premise, the square, where the curator said 2.5 meters. Sitanshu Kotak, in his cricketing career, which has been pretty long, and in Gautam Gambhir's cricketing career, never have they heard anything like this. That was the start of the real problem. Had it kind of simmered there and finished, maybe we could have put a lid on that. It did not. As things kept going on the boil, the Indians felt aggrieved, the Indians felt angry, the Indians felt frustrated. Once again, much like the English were out of line by asking Washington Sundar and Ravindra Jadeja not to get their hundreds, here Fortis was out of line by trying to tell the Indians that they can't go and inspect the pitch. All of a sudden, in that square, they asked for an ice box. And as they did ask for an ice box, once again, one of the support staff was bringing that ice box. Mr. Fortis decides to take center stage again and says, you can't do that. And the Indians, by the way, were not wearing spikes. The Indians, by the way, were not destroying that square. The Indians, by the way, were in joggers. The Indians were carrying a spray so that the ground remains in pristine condition. So there's absolutely no problems. Yet, and by the way, Sitanshu Kotak, quote again, the icebox weighs 10 kilos. The gentleman there would at least weigh 100. So if he can go to that square, and he's actually at that square now. He's actually at that square now. If he can be there, he's 100 kilos. Look, he's 100 kilos. And you're saying that an icebox can't get there because an icebox is 10 kilos. Boy, really? The Indians then decided to take real, that kind of irked them even more. And Gautam Gambhir, much within his rights, to try and protect his own people. And we all know that with Gautam, he will not take things lying down. Things went off the handle. And it actually went off the boil. Sitanshu Kotak, in the press conference, used words like arrogant. And Kotak is a prudent man. He's a rational man, and he handled it very sensibly when the entire media wanted to know more. Kotak, after the press conference, as we were walking out, said, look, up to a point, you can take things, but after a point, you cannot take things lying down. And Gautam is an ethical man, and I'm quoting Kotak. Gautam is an ethical man, and he had to speak up for his boys. So the point here is that when Rob Key and McCullum goes, no problem. When you are yourself there, no problem. But when the Indians with not wearing spikes in joggers want to go and inspect the wicket, match day -2, you have a problem, Mr. Fortis. While India will not complain, I do think this matter will have the impact of riling up the Indians even more. This is much like that spirit of the game argument and fits in well with the narrative of this series. This series is no longer being played in any spirit except being ruthless combat. Will this charge up the Indians? Will it motivate them more? We've got to wait and see. But for the day, it's Gambhir versus Fortis that is the headline. And the truth is, this is a new India, a resurgent India. And if Mr. Fortis tries to push his way, the Indians are not going to take it lying down.